I wasn't sure what I wanted to say, but I wanted it to be visual. I wanted it to be, I don't know, I guess, thought provoking, and I wanted it to be distinctively mature. In 2016, we had the Roots. We did a writer's retreat here in New York City as well. That was at Electric Lady Studios, and we invited just all these different producers, vocalists, musicians to come and sort of just jam and create with us for a solid week. And Salaam was one of those people who sort of came up and contributed a lot. There's some stuff that he contributed at that time that just had a different feel, and from that, I got the itch to work on a different project with Salaam.
When we first sat down to talk about music, for me it was a thing of always being able to listen to what I've received with people on records, but also just trying to hear from them what they wanted to do and what they wanted to happen. I didn't look at the 14 or 15 albums that they've completed as a band, the Roots, or even the different features he's done as what should happen next. I wanted to hear from him what he wanted to make happen next.
The difference in working in the studio with Salaam is the approach. I think Salaam's approach as a producer is to build the track, the vision, the experience around the vocalist. He's a very vocal-centric producer. Sometimes you work with a producer and the producer is trying to articulate through the music sonically as much as you are as a writer and vocalist, and sometimes they could drown one another out, or it could just make for a more almost cluttered sonic space, where sounds are fighting against other sounds to sort of be heard. When working with Salaam, he's very conscious of that. It's a conscious effort to sort of not take it there, where any one sound is struggling with any other. So, that in itself sort of sets, a session with him, it makes it unique.
I focus on the lyricists, the vocals, what are they trying to convey, and how to best complement that so that the vocal is always the main and first instrument. I look at it like scoring movies, basically, and having it in a way where the dialogue is what's happening and what you're really paying attention to in the actions, and then the music is to enhance the emotion and to make you really feel what's going on. For me, him being a brilliant writer who, in my opinion, people haven't heard a lot of things that he said that were brilliant on the level where they should have, because they've just been distracted by other elements and not necessarily about his vocal first. So my key was put the vocal first and build around it.
The way I like to work with Salaam is to sit down, have a conversation about the task at hand, from which I'll get a bunch of different jewels. There'll be lines that will just come immediately. That'll come directly from the conversation that he and I sort of have, and I'll leave with that and take whatever sonic sort of bed that I'm gonna go work on, and go and finish writing to it, and just in the next room while he's sort of working on the next idea.
If I can't have a conversation with you, then we can't really work together. Our combination and the chemistry together is based upon our conversations and what that comes into. The laughter, the jokes, the serious parts of it, the thoughts that are being provoked, the musical inspiration with Reek's ear and what he's been able to do with the Roots, and even separately, he was able to hear some of the music that I was just going like, I don't know, maybe you'll get this, and be able to channel it because he understands the aspects of the jazz or James Brown or the different flows and stuff, and he'd be like, oh, I'll get something with that. I'm gonna write to that. Cool. So I played through a lot of different things, and there's certain things he's like, yeah, give me a minute with that. and whatever he liked, then I'll listen to it. And now, you know, in the completion process, I also listen to what he's done to it, and sometimes I change it all around.
I show up at the studio with nothing, and I listen to the music as it's sort of coming to be. I guess best case, the songs write themselves. You know what I'm saying? I've hit a couple snags where it's like, let me, at the end of the session, take this elsewhere and, you know, vibe on it and sort of reapproach. By the time I'm done writing and I'm ready to go into the booth and record, he'll come in, you know, to hear me sort of record my vocals. He'll give notes or whatever and go back and finish whatever he's working on, and then we'll move on. The other thing that makes a Salaam Remi session unique is the fact that he plays every instrument. So when working with some other producers, it might be there may be an idea or a vision that you can't really articulate until you have some session musicians, or you have someone come in who can play the keyboard and who can play the bass and drums and sample sounds, and you sort of to demo the idea for you. But Salaam is able to put all that shit together, on his own, just like a one-man sort of show.
And there's two different arts. There's an art of knowing how to rock a stage, and there's an art of knowing how to rock 2.5 minutes out of a speaker that make you feel like you're on stage. The art of production, where it's about these 2 minutes, these 3 minutes that grab you, it's not necessarily where it's been at recently. A lot of things have been more about the live performance and, the jumping up and down and what happens in that space, which is great. But I've just really been in a space where I'm focused on my contribution, which is a certain level of musicality and also sonic energy. There's something that happens when, you hear a song. It's really the emotions that are in the music. It's the notes, it's how it feels, it's how the person says something, it's what they said, it's how it's captured. There's an art. There has to be a point when you're creating for you. I've said before that if you're working for critics, then who are you? If you're working to please the audience, then who are you? And it's cool to make something to even say, on a live stage, you're rocking to rock that audience. But in a recorded space, I'm trying to please my own ears, and then my co-creators' ears, and then the room that I'm in. And if this room that I'm in happens to be, feeling right, then hopefully that capture of that moment that we're actually getting will last, and people will feel it that don't know I exist.